Hey everybody, welcome to the lounge. How's it going? I'm coming to you guys from a rooftop, taking a little break from work, and I figured I'd film a video before the sun goes down because there's sure been a lot of stuff going on and I have some thoughts on it. Obviously, some of it is going to be CV related, some of it is going to be primaries related because they're essentially over now, and some of it is going to be Bitcoin related because this stock market crash has shown me something very interesting about Bitcoin. In fact, let's talk about the Bitcoin thing first. So, Bitcoin wasn't popularized until the 2010s, and as a result, it has never really gone through a stock market crash, and nobody really knew how the asset would behave in the event of a stock market crash. Some people thought that Bitcoin would be totally uncorrelated to markets, so it was like a hedge against the markets. Except it turns out that's not true at all. I thought that the whole lack of correlation to the markets was weak for a while now, and finally I've come to the conclusion, watching the stock crash unfold, that no, in fact, it is very correlated to the markets. It acts a lot more like a commodity than some random uncorrelated asset. And the reason we know this is because Bitcoin dropped with the markets the last few weeks during this whole virus-prompted stock crash. In fact, for any future crash scenario, looking at Bitcoin and when it would bottom out and when it would have spikes and all sorts of things of that nature, I'm starting to think that what Bitcoin is during a stock market crash is actually a terrific tool to analyze raw emotion and optimism and pessimism that investors are feeling, because it really seemed to move lockstep with the markets, except it trades 24/7 and it moved a little bit faster than they did. So in any case, I thought that was a very interesting indicator of investor sentiment, the Bitcoin price indicator. But speaking of this whole CV prompted stock market crash, I did want to talk about the virus a little bit. And what I wanted to say is, I firmly believe now that within 60 to 75 days, this whole thing will in fact blow over. How can I be so confident? Well, if you follow the data carefully, as a good number of people do, and you can actually look up at any given moment all the confirmed active cases, all the deaths, all the recoveries for every nation in the world. There's websites doing this. I'll link to one in the description. I believe it's called World Meters. But in any case, if you look at the country by country stats for the virus, basically it appears as if China and South Korea were hit among the earliest, and they've both topped out. And now they're recovering. New cases not as frequent, recoveries rampant, overall active caseload going down in both countries. Iran also seems to have hit some type of case plateau, not experiencing nearly the types of exponential CV increases that people were expecting a week or two ago. At the same time, when it comes to warm tropical countries, CV isn't spreading very much at all. So it almost seems to be stunted by warmer weather. And remember, I'm not a Trump guy, so it's not like I got this from the right wing or something like that. That's just what the data is telling me. That in just a couple months, regardless more or less of the measures we take, since after all, South Korea recovered without the extreme travel restrictions that the US is proposing, regardless, this will end, and it's not going to go on for months and months or a year or more. So the stock market and people in general really shouldn't worry about it so much anymore. I am, however, worried that all of the giveaways and packages and rash government spending is going to accelerate our approach towards the national debts crisis, which I think is going to hit us sooner or later. I mean, we're now in a position as a result of this that the central banks have cut interest rates to pretty much zero So, I mean, they're out of bullets for the next one, guys. There's nothing left in the tank, so the central banks have to go through yet another collapse to reset the system if we hit another serious economic or social or health crisis. Anyway, enough about Corona. So the primaries, huh? They're over. It looks like Biden has won. Bernie lost. Even Tulsi Gabbard dropped out in the last few days. Obviously, I'm somewhat disappointed by all this. I think it's a shame. I think that it's a good thing how much the Democratic Party moved towards many of Bernie's policies over the last 4 years. I thought that they would have been best served as a party and as a country to move even further towards his policies, but clearly the American electorate just doesn't agree with me. It's not like you can say that this was rigged or anything to that effect. It was just a case of moderates consolidating. The progressives didn't consolidate as well. I think Elizabeth Warren kind of screwed Bernie in this election, but overall, once all the numbers were counted, the moderate wing just had way too much support in many critical places, double-digit support. So it was effectively over. So now we're gonna have Biden versus Trump, and honestly, guys, I don't think I'm gonna talk a whole lot about it because I kind of think I know how it's gonna turn out. Biden will peel away a whole ton of Trump's elderly voters and end up winning, but he may or may not take the Senate. And then you have basically an Obama type of Democrat in the White House again. This doesn't make me excited or unexcited. It just makes me kind of disinterested, I guess. So hopefully there's not so much disinterest, people don't go out and vote in 2020, but you get what I mean. On that note, guys, hope you enjoyed this. I better get back to work. Subscribe, hit that like button if you're new here, and we'll see you next time.